Should be here. There we go. Awesome. All right, welcome everyone who's joining us. Awesome. Okay, I already see lots of you already in the participant list. Happy to have you all here. Thank you for joining us. We will get started in just a moment here. If you would like to test out your ability to use our chat function, go ahead and write in where you're calling in from. In Zoom, my name is Emma. I'm calling in from Phoenix, Arizona. Actually, Tempe today. I'm on Arizona State University's campus. Fun times. Amazing. And I'll go ahead and get started in a moment here. Okay. All right, we've got quite a few in here, so I'm going to go ahead and get us moving. Welcome everyone to another SciStarter live event. We're here every week, so we're happy to have a lot of you joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about moving from marine debris to art in celebration of America Recycles Day. And we have some special guests with us today, so we're going to go ahead and talk through our usual. So just to get us started, my name is Emma. I am a program coordinator for SciStarter, and I usually host these webinars. So you may be familiar with my face if you've been here before. Darlene, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm Darlene Cavalier, and you're going to hear from Bonnie soon. And I am the founder of SciStarter and a professor at Arizona State University. And we are here from Barnegat Light, Long Beach Island today. Nice to see you all.
Roland, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Quality Assurance Coordinator with SciStarter, and I'll be posting the links, all the links which you will need today in today's webinar.
Excellent. All righty. Yeah, if you ever need any technical assistance, Roland is the one to reach out to. Speaking of which, we do have both functions for the chat and the Q&A because this is a webinar. So if you have any comments or questions that are very quick or just some direct messages you want to send to Roland if you need IT support, the chat function is a super useful tool for that. We would love for you to use that. And then for the Q&A, if you have any questions about citizen science, SciStarter in general, or anything about our featured projects or topic, putting it into the Q&A would be super helpful so that we can talk through all your questions when we get to Q&As. And just to test that you are able to use our chat, why don't you go ahead and write into the chat, as I mentioned earlier, go ahead and introduce yourself and where you are calling in from, streaming in from. And we'll take a look at that in a moment. And unfortunately, I don't think I can actually see while I'm sharing my screen, but Roland will take a look at the chat for us. Awesome. All righty, so while that's happening, just as a precursor, we will be talking to Bonnie Cavalier, who is here with us, and we'll give a proper introduction later, but if you just want to say hello right now, Bonnie, you can go ahead.
Hello, I'm so glad to be able to share this experience with you. I've always enjoyed Long Beach Island for many decades, and it wasn't until about 5 years ago that my husband and I were walking on the beach just for exercise, and we found a beautiful piece of colored sea glass. And that has evolved into a big adventure of searching for sea glass, which is not an exact science. Many conditions are to be considered in many locations, and still maybe you won't find the glass. And then I enjoyed recycling all of this glass into jewelry, which we share with friends and family. It's been a great adventure.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to hear more about how that works for you over in the East Coast. I'm going to go ahead.
I want to say, Emma, we can tell this is a family affair because I see my husband, Bonnie's son, figured out a way to log into Zoom. Hello, Bob.
Welcome. Happy to have you here. We're going to go ahead and get a quick check on to who we have in this call. So we would like to know, have you ever participated in a citizen science project before?
I'm sorry.
Let's see what your family members are answering.
Have they participated? Has anyone participated in a citizen science project before?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Oh, excellent. I'm seeing quite a few maybes, so I'm excited for you all to figure out if it has been one or not. And this is great.
Do we get to see the results?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we're at 80% participation. Okay. Last couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. We're going to go ahead and share those results.
Nice.
Awesome. So majority of us being a no, 52% have not, but 22% of you think maybe, and 26% think yes. So that is awesome. For all you maybes, I bet you did. So we'll find out shortly, right? Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Beyond that, we'd like to know, have you ever been to one of these events before? So maybe you're joining for Bonnie, you know Bonnie already. So maybe that's why, or you've been here for a while. And we have
Emma, I'm just going to remind everybody when they're posting in chat to use the option for everyone. So everybody can see it, unless you just wanted the panelists to see it. But I can see some cool things coming in, and share it with everybody so we can see it too. Those are for our attendees. Thanks,
gotcha.
Emma.
Sure. Alrighty, so we've got, oh, you're sharing already, great. So most of you have not. Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you here, and hope we can have you on for more of these events. And for those of you who have been here, that 15%, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back. I hope we can keep that going. Awesome. All right, and then lastly, we want to know what type of people we're talking to. So are we talking to aspiring citizen scientists, maybe seaglass enthusiasts, maybe we're talking to educators or students, librarians. We don't have an option for family member of the special guest, but now I kind of wish we did.
Maybe
board person on the internet.
Maybe he's the board person on the internet.
Maybe. Amazing. Okay. Oh, great. A lot of you are students. That's so glad to hear. Good to hear. Awesome. 83% of you have participated. Okay, cool. All right, this is pretty well split. So we've got aspiring citizen scientists, we've got students, we've got teachers, educators, etc. And we've got two board people on the internet. I just want to specify 2 of you. Excellent. Thank you for joining us, everyone. All right, so because many of you have not been to this event, I'm just going to give a quick refresher as to what citizen science is. So our definition of citizen science is a collaboration between scientists and those of us who are curious, concerned, and motivated to make a difference. It's how people can make an impact on issues they care about and help science. And there's so many ways in which you can get involved in that. And so to start you off, the step number 1 always is to join SciStarter.org. It's a globally acclaimed online citizen science hub, and it hosts so many projects with so many different topics. You can find something for everyone. All you got to do is click the quick navigate to write in a word to see if there are any projects, or in the project finder, writing down, I don't know, dogs, and you'll find something. So something for everyone on there. And then in addition to having all those projects available to you to be a part of, we also have training. So if you ever feel like you just need some more motivation or confidence in participating in citizen science, this is an excellent way to get started and gain some confidence and knowledge of citizen science. And we have more than just the foundations. We've got 4 other trainings that you can move on to after you've taken the foundations as the first prerequisite. Okay, the building data literacy, I am biased. I love that one because it's super helpful with understanding why data is important, and the rest of them are equally as amazing and wonderful. We have one that's new that's called data ethics for practitioners as well. All right. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. If there are any questions about citizen science at all, feel free to drop them in the Q&A so we can address them when we can. But I'm going to actually turn it over to Darlene to introduce our guest and our topic.
So, and as you can see, thank you, Emma. Thank you, Roland. As you can see, it's National Recycles Day. I don't know if there's supposed to be an S there, but Recycle Day. So every week we do this. We join people on Zoom, through Zoom, to look at different issues and find ways that if you're curious or concerned about something, we all hop online and we look for a topic to rally around. So we look for National Recycles Day. Oftentimes there are beach cleanups. Bonnie and I and Ron just participated in one here in Long Beach Island in New Jersey. It's a barrier island. And so we did a beach cleanup, and it just got me thinking a little bit of how many people are doing citizen science when they're out walking along the coastlines, even around rivers and streams and lakes. So some of the citizen science projects that you can do while you're walking around help scientists know how much trash is on the beach. And that's important, but it's important not just aesthetically, it's really important because those things break down and they take up the oxygen that the living things in that water needed. So in order to break down all that trash in the water, it uses up the oxygen that other living things need. Also, sometimes the microplastics get in there and then they get into us. So that's also not healthy. So some people do citizen science along the beach. to make and share observations that help scientists answer questions they can't answer alone. I gave some examples of picking up trash or spotting trash. Other times it's kind of looking around at what the coastline is doing. Does it look different to you? Well, if you're paying attention during your walks and you're finding a way to kind of monitor that through all these free apps, almost everything on SciStarter is free, you're going to help develop your own knowledge about a changing coastline, but you're also helping many, many scientists who use that data. They plug it into algorithms, and ultimately they help make better decisions to protect you. So those are some of the examples. But now we're talking about sea glassing, because this is another fun activity you can do. And Bonnie's going to tell us all about it and how you can pick up glass on the beach and even turn it into works of art and jewelry. Let's go to the next slide. So as you can see here, that's Bonnie, and that's my father-in-law, Ron. They spend a lot of time walking on the beach. Bonnie also has an art degree, and she teaches painting and all forms of art. She helps to curate art exhibits. She teaches our kids, her grandchildren, how to paint, and they're often the subject of her work. But Bonnie, why don't you tell us a little bit about actually how you came to kind of spend your time walking the beaches, your connection to Long Beach Island, and ultimately how you started sea glassing.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, it started about 5 years ago. We've been coming, both my husband and I have been coming to Long Beach Island for many years. We dated here, we got married, we raised our family on Long Beach Island. We've often enjoyed the beauty of the beach. But one day, 5 years ago, we were walking on the beach just for exercise, and we looked down and we saw a very beautiful colored piece of glass, which to the best of my recollection was green, one of the more common colors. Being a painter, an artist, I love color. And so I was excited. I said to my husband, I think this is what they call sea glass. So after that, we started reading about sea glass, and we started walking more and more and finding more and more glass. And 5 years ago, it was quite plentiful. We would come back to the house and take a picture of a pile of glass that we had found just within a couple of hours. So this then it evolved into making something with this glass. We had thousands of pieces. We filled bottles, and my husband took a class and learned how to make jewelry, which made it a really fun thing. I can tell you more about the conditions. What you should consider when you go sea glassing, as I mentioned before, there's not.
Let's go to the next slide. We'll play that video so people can see what it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bonnie.
Okay.
These are some questions that we are going to get to, which is, what is sea glass? Where is it from? When to find it? What do the colors represent? Why it's considered a vanishing gem? And then also some tips and tricks to make jewelry from it. So let's go to the next slide real quick. And what you'll see here are just a video that I did outside right on the beach. This is typically what you'll see on the Jersey coastline.
This is what you look for. You look for the debris that the waves have washed in. And at high tide, it's going to be way up high on the beach. And low tide, way down by the water. The theory is that 2 hours after low tide is when you'll find the most sea glass. The debris has slowly washed back down to the ocean, and it's laying right there on the sand. However, high tide can be another advantageous time to find the sea glass, because if you're the first one on the beach, last night's high tide, you'll see all the debris just like you're looking at on that video, with hopefully some sea glass in with the debris. And on Long Beach Island, where we go, it's an ideal location because there is no replenishing of the sand. So whatever debris comes up, including the sea glass, is not being covered over by sand like some areas. Thankfully here, the beach is building all the time, and Mother Nature is taking care of that. We don't have to bring in extra sand for that. So you need to look at the tides. We have 2 low tides and 2 high tides within a 24-hour period. And also after a storm, usually you're going to find some more glass than at other times. You need to look at the wind conditions and where the boat traffic is. A lot of this sea glass comes in from boats, people throwing things overboard or sea wrecks and so forth. So basically, sea glass is glass
Go
is
to the
been-
next-
yeah. What is sea glass?
Next one.
Oh, you want to go to the next one? Okay.
Yeah, colors.
All right, so
and
we'll
shapes
go to
and
the
sizes.
colors. This is a color chart, and the most common colors are green, amber, which is typically from a beer bottle in most cases, green. In order to get the color green, they need lime, which is found in an oyster shell. And the clear is very common. A lot of this comes from windows, broken windows that are thrown into the ocean, and pieces of boats, glass from the windshield and so forth. And this is a darker green, different shade of green. So those are the common ones, the white, the green, and the amber. The most rare.
I'm gonna ask her to
Yeah,
go to the next
okay.
slide,
Okay,
because then they'll see exactly what you're seeing here. So those colors that Bonnie just highlighted are under that.
yeah, right. So this is a little diagram. The most rare that we've ever found is red. And there are only two colors that are considered more rare than red. One is orange and one is cranberry. The other one is cranberry. But we were so excited when we found the red because it is a very, very rare one. And also rare is blue. A lot of this comes, they say, from Noxema bottles, all kinds of old bottles that have broken up, and the ocean and the sand has smoothed them out, and they have no sharp edges. If we find any glass that is sharp and shiny, we throw it back into the ocean to be retumbled.
Bonnie, where's the red from? Typically the cranberry.
The cranberry is the most rare,
Okay.
and red is also considered very rare. So a lot of this colored glass comes from tableware that,
Oh, okay.
people had glass, all kinds of dishes and pitchers and all kinds of things that wind up in trash and thrown into the water, and then the sea smooths them out. The other very rare one is aqua. And the aqua sometimes is found from insulator glass for insulating electric wire.
Oh, wow.
Are there many sources of these colors? So that kind of takes care of the color part. And then as far as making jewelry, we find pieces that are unusual. This is the rim of a bottle, and it's a beautiful blue. And so my husband, I'll explain how he makes this jewelry, but made that the centerpiece for this. This one has ridges on it, which would indicate a design. It came from some kind of glass bottle. Most of it's from bottles that had a design on it. So you can actually feel the ridges. It's very exciting to find all these different pieces, different colors, different shapes, different designs. And this is a green one, a pretty green one. Typically you can see the light right through the green, and it really is very, very pretty. Mother Nature did a good job with this glass. So that takes care of the colors, and some very tiny pieces. This is hard to do. My husband drills the tiny pieces and carefully so they don't shatter. And this is the red and the green. So very rare and more common, but I like to wear them over the holidays, the red and green. And you can mix and match all of these. And so that,
And you have,
I
green
am
on
wearing one, yes, and my husband wraps the wire. So this wire is actually the sign of infinity going back and forth. And I'll show you and tell you in a little bit later about the tools that he uses. And to twist all the silver wire.
and he's
So we have
super
time now to
generous.
talk about the jewelry.
Every time there's a guest, somebody gets a.
Oh,
nice
yes, so we
necklace.
share these, we will give away all the necklaces and earrings, and it's really it's joyful from the time we find the glass to the time we hand a present to a good friend, and make a nice connection with people with the glass. So many people love the ocean and can relate to wonderful summers on the beach, and is kind of nostalgic.
Okay,
Okay.
next slide.
Yeah.
Before I move on, I just wanted to pause really fast because we had a question in the Q&A that might be
Oh, sure.
relevant right now. So Susan, thank you for asking that. If enthusiasts didn't collect all the sea glass like you are, what would happen to it? Does it just go back out to sea the next high tide? Do we know a whole ton about what happens when we don't pick up the sea glass?
So if it's not picked up, what would happen? Yeah, the sand covers it over and it eventually washes back out. But however, many people are collecting sea glass, so we hardly ever find, there's it's not just laying there for you to pick up. It's hard to find, and because of recycling, also fewer containers are made out of glass, and the tendency now is to put liquids in aluminum containers or in plastic, and so the many pieces of glass we found years ago, 5 years ago, this year we found very few pieces of glass. So to answer your question, it's very little gets washed back. There are many collectors that are collecting it, and it's very difficult to find now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so there's probably just like a lot out there, and then over time, I mean, it looks like these are very much over time just being molded by Mother Nature, so to speak, the like changing sizes and the smaller pieces. That's fascinating. I'm going to
Putting in chat, remember to use the everyone's function. So there's an option, host and panelist, or everyone can see your comments. Go ahead and share for everybody so we can all, everybody can enjoy your comments there. Okay, next slide. Is that right, Emma?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, so now rarely we find, even more rarely than some of these colors, is to find a complete object like a bottle that's still intact, but it's very smooth from the sand and the ocean over the years washing over it. It does have, this bottle has one little chip up on the top where you can feel the sharper glass. The rest of it's very smooth. And from the clear color, well, this was probably used for medicine. It looks like a medicine bottle. From the clear color, which was one of the more common ones, my husband made put some charms on the clear to dress it up a little. And then here's another bottle that I love, the aqua color. And this is really in perfect condition. Inside feels like the original bottle, smooth. The ocean hasn't gotten it etched or crazed at all. The outside is shiny from all the sand hitting it and tumbling it around in the ocean for who knows how long. And here's an unusual piece of aqua that may have come from a bottle. The side is perfectly straight and it has a little loop on the bottom. So these are interesting pieces that we find. And lots over here on the left, you'll see a picture of so much green. In fact, this was quite a coincidence. One St. Patrick's Day, we found nothing but green, so much green, quite a coincidence. And then people believe that if you have a strong thought about the glass, it appears. So that I can agree with that on St. Patrick's Day and the day we found the red, because I kept wishing and wishing that we would find red, and there it was.
You did. Oh, on St. Patrick's?
No, the St. Patrick's Day was the green.
Okay.
But the red was
Don't tell me Valentine's Day.
Yeah, no, not Valentine's Day, just a day I was really wishing we could find something rare. And one of the little red pieces I had lost, so I had another strong wish that we would find another one, and sure enough, we did, but we've only found two little, in all the thousands of pieces, only two little reds and one big red.
Wow.
So it's exciting to do with the colors and the history of glass.
Mm-hmm. Later, we'll go for a walk and I'm going to ask you to wish for it to find $100 bill. You have good luck.
Strong wish.
And the next slide, and I see somebody wants to see Bonnie in full screen, and you're going to. We just have some items to show on screen, and then the thumbnails will switch to full view on those. So thank you. Okay, now
I will note, I'm so sorry, if there's anyone who is on a mobile device, if you click on the small screen, it'll actually flip the screens. So if you're looking to have Bonnie as the main image, I'm not sure how to do it on a desktop or on a laptop, but if you're on a phone, you can click the image and it will flip.
Okay, so my husband took a class after I encouraged him, and he finally listened to me and took a class to make jewelry. I said, we have to do something with this. We were filling bottles and they're beautiful. But anyway, he took a class and he purchased the tools necessary. So in order to shape, well, first let me show you the wire. This is the wire that my husband works with. It's silver wire, and it's called argentinium. I probably didn't pronounce it right.
It's good that you have it written up there.
Yeah,
You should be able to see it on
Argentinium.
screen too.
And it's a wire that doesn't have any copper in it, so it never tarnishes. The copper is what makes wire tarnish. And this is a result of the twisting. So there's quite a bit of work involved, twisting the wire. And I'm going to back up just 1 minute. I'm going to show you how he makes the wire and the tools that he uses for all this bending and twisting. But the very first step is to drill a hole in the glass. And he does that the glass has to be submerged in water, puts it on a sponge and submerged in water, and uses a drill to drill a hole through with a drill and a grounder. The grounder so that he can work in water and electricity with no danger. And the other danger is that the glass can shatter because it creates incredible heat. So the water keeps it cool enough.
So you look for thicker pieces sometimes for different.
Yeah, not everything is drillable. I mean, we have glass that, can only be in a bottle to admire. It's too thick and it doesn't have an interesting shape. Today I brought all the interesting shapes, but sometimes we get some that are, are not suitable for jewelry. Okay, so going fast forward from there, in order to create something like this that has a swirl and is connected to the hole in the glass, my husband, after drilling it, works the wire. And he has 3 pliers that he uses. One cuts the wire and one holds the wire steady so that he can bend it around a form. This form has different dimensions so that he can have small swirls of sterling or large or in between.
And Bonnie's describing the tools that you see on the screen.
Right. And this one works to make the end of the wire so that it's not sharp. It's kind of like a file. Okay.
The brown one.
Yeah, so those are the tools. And so my husband does the entire, all of this wire, the wire that connects to the hole, and then he puts on a little bead, either a pearl or a silver ball, and then he wraps around this form the wire to make either the sign of infinity or just a single swirl, and then the connection to the wire. So the only part that he doesn't make is the chain that goes around your neck. And at the end of the chain, he makes the attachments so that the necklace can be secured around your neck. A little hole and a little straight, or a circle and a straight line. And so that's the end result.
Wow.
A labor of love. He enjoys doing it, and our friends seem to love wearing the jewelry.
That's a great description. I never knew that he made those pieces too, whatever.
Yeah, the designs.
This design,
Yeah,
Bonnie was showing that he wraps it around something like this, right?
exactly.
So it's kind of moldable
Yes.
wire.
And all the time he has to hold it real steady with this gripper, and he's either cutting or smoothing it out or bending it. And so it's not easy, but like anything else, the more you do, the easier it becomes. So he's made many.
And these are relatively few tools. These are pretty simple tools. And mostly, does he get them from Amazon?
Yes,
I mean,
yeah. So here's one with a pearl on it. So, no two are the same. Oh, I meant to show you this one. He bent the wire so that it's a heart.
So nice.
Yeah.
We did invite him to come on the show. He said he doesn't do this.
He's He's busy taking care of what I normally would be taking care of today.
Ironic, in case you're watching.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe we can just pause for a moment for Q&As, and maybe Emma, if you can put, is there a way to put us on full screen now?
Sure. I'll go ahead and stop our share so that you can see.
And we're going to take a look. I think the next slide was actually looking at some of the final pieces as well.
Oh, of course, once I lose my screen, I lose you all too. I'll go ahead and read the Q&As out while we're pausing here. So Ziara, I'm so sorry, I'm probably pronouncing your name incorrectly, is asking how long it takes for sea glass to form. In case we don't have a full answer, my quick research had a difficult decision. So a couple of things, if they had constant contact with the water or with like the tumbling effect of the sea waves and the surf, it would be from 7 to 10 years, but then in other cases, it takes thousands of years for it to actually degrade. So this is potentially really, really old glass that you're looking at that is sea glass. Is there any other information that either of you have about that?
And as far as how many years it takes, it's hard to, to say.
Yeah.
The span, and it depends on how the conditions in the water are, the sand, the rocks that are tumbling it. So as I said, if it's not already etched, if it's new, what we call new glass, sharp, that hasn't been tumbled enough years or time, we just throw it back in the ocean, and we have no idea how long it's going to take.
Have you ever found a piece that has a date on it?
We have, yeah. I didn't bring anything with me, but by looking at the patterns, and there are many resource books, so I've read quite a bit about it. In 1929, or during the Depression, they came out with depression glass. So you can identify some patterns that are on the glass and know how many years ago it was made, and the colors. Most of the colors are depression glass. Became very popular when cut glass was too expensive to make, so they made press patterns of colors. So the glass itself can be very, very old, and then if it's not tumbled, enough, it appears like it's kind of new, but it's depression glass is from 1929. Yeah. So an age is
That's
hard
incredible
to figure out, but we're in a good location here for it to be plentiful. As I said,
perfect segue too.
Yeah, the other thing is spring, summer, not summer, but spring and fall and winter, it's easier to collect sea glass. Well, we don't have all the tourists on the beach, and even on Long Beach Island here, where they don't have to replenish the land at the north end where we are in Barnegat Light, they do smooth the sand out for the tourists every morning. So they're moving sand around, and they can be covering the glass up. So summer is not ideal for collecting sea glass. Yeah.
Wow. Is there specific locations that you think are best, like beyond where you are? Someone that was asking, are there multiple locations that sea glass can be found at?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's like anything else. You get so excited because you're in the best spot, and you want to tell people, but you don't want to tell too many people. So we see the same people walking on the beach very often, make friends on the beach, and some people don't want to share where they're getting it at all. But ironically, where my son and daughter-in-law built their house, can I give the address? But anyway,
Barnegat Light.
In Barnegat Light, there we have found more glass right on their block than any other place. And it's just magical, but certain times of the year we walk south, certain times of the year we walk north, depending on how the wind is blowing everything.
And I think the more you do it, the better you get at it, because I still can't find sea glass.
You get an eye for it. If the sun is out, I think it's really good to wear sunglasses. If there's a lot of seaweed, it's hard. It looks like green glass, and it's deceiving. So sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not, and that's what makes it an adventure. It's never the same. It's never for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a number for the most amount you found in a day, most amount of sea glass pieces? Did you ever count them?
The
What's
number?
the most you found in a single walk? About.
About, I would say about 30. And that was 5 years ago, 4 years ago. As I said, this year, and we've had many days this year when we've gone and come home with no glass, none. It is a disappearing gem. And they write about it in the books like that. It's definitely a disappearing gem because of the recycling and so forth. Yeah.
So I love that you turn them into gifts. There's a lot of my friends and family that walk around with their Cavalier
Yeah,
sea
and
glass on there.
Darlene's is a beautiful citron color and it has a design on it, vertical lines. Yeah.
Yeah, it has
Oh,
can you see
wow.
the
Being-
lines in the.
Being the daughter-in-law, she gets one of the prettiest.
My sister-in-law's on too. Hi, Debbie. Nice to see you. Yeah,
Good,
Debbie's on there
good.
too.
Yeah.
Are there other
And-
questions about the sea glass? And I think there was only one more slide to show a picture of that before we.
Sure. Yeah. And thank you, Debbie, by the way. Debbie was the one who asked how many you had in one day. So that was, thanks for
Okay.
asking that question. There was one more question from a Khalees, I believe. The designs are beautiful, by the way, is what Khalees says. Are there any specific types of glass that you find more often? I remember you saying, I think green was the most.
What we find the most often is the amber, which is, most of it's probably from beer bottles and, when the fishermen are out or fishing people are out and they throw the bottles overboard. Amber was used for medicine bottles for years as well. So amber is the most common. And right after that, I would say is the clear and the white. Those are but still, we're glad to find anything. It's exciting.
I actually was going, if there aren't any other questions, I was going to ask you to spend a couple of minutes just talking about the importance of sand
Okay.
and glass and some of the history here in New Jersey.
Okay, yeah. So being here from New Jersey, it's very interesting to know that the first glass that was manufactured in the whole United States was manufactured in New Jersey in a town called Alloway. Now, I live in Galloway with a G, but this is Alloway, and it's part of Salem County. And South Jersey is known for having the perfect sand to make glass because of the silica content. And it was so perfect that for years, our sand, was shipped up to Sandwich, Massachusetts, where they manufactured glass using New Jersey sand. That's a good one for my daughter because she lives in Massachusetts. And anyway, so there's an interesting history. Actually, in the 1700s, in 1739, a gentleman from Germany, Caspar Wistar, he started the first manufacturing company of glass, and that was in that Alloway area that I spoke about. And he brought over some fellow glass people from Germany, paid for their transatlantic travel and their salaries. And together they started this manufacturing of glass, in spite of the fact that it was against English law in the 1700s. It was against the law to send any raw material, to use any raw materials from the United States. They were supposed to be sent to England for England to use, but he did it in spite of that and started the first glass manufacturing in New Jersey. Yeah. So
That's amazing.
yeah, and even you can find it in the woods too, because they were, making glass in the woods of New Jersey. So not only on the sand, but it's washing in from different areas. And
There's a Wistar Institute that is, I think it's Caspar Wistar. So we'll look at that a little bit more.
And I was sharing with Darlene before too, because of the interest in science. So the glass, some of that first glass that Wistar's company made, they made beakers that chemists and scientists use, including Edison and including Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse was a pharmacist. Yeah.
Wow. Gosh,
So a lot of history connected with glass. Yeah.
that's amazing. Good.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
amazing.
let's see what the next slide is. And I see some, thank you for the compliments on our necklaces. Do you need a special drill bit to drill the sea glass?
You do, but I don't know what it's called. My husband, he, you know, when he took the class, and I did sit in on the class, the teacher was wonderful. She gave him a list of what he would need to buy, and I don't know, you know, it's a very tiny hole that is drilled with this bit, so.
What we can do is all of you are here because you registered for Zoom. So we send a follow-up email that will include a link to the recording, all the links that we've talked about here. And then Roland and Emma, let's remember that we'll ask Bonnie to ask Ron any specific information about the equipment. Maybe we don't want to endorse any particular products, but if we have links to them on Amazon, you know, buy at your, what do you call it? Your risk.
Sure.
But
Well,
maybe we can help
I'll
with that.
mention one name. There's a Dremel drill that comes with whatever bit is appropriate.
Okay.
But that's not the brand that Ron uses. That's the most well-known brand of Dremel. Yeah. The bit has to be very tiny. The hole is very tiny.
So we'll follow up with some of that. What are we looking at here? What do we see here?
Okay, so well, this was showing how the charms are hanging on some of these. Let's see. I have this one.
This is nice too, because it's the detail on what Bonnie was describing. You see the
Yeah, you can see
swirl?
the swirls and the connecting. Yeah, it's a kind of a close-up on all the wire work. You know, the wire that goes through the hole, and then the little round silver, and then there's more wire connecting to the swirl. And as I said, Ron even makes the hooks, you know, that are at the end of the chain, so you can put it together. And these are user-friendly hooks.
because
you know,
I
they
think you
slide
mentioned
together.
the chain itself
Yeah,
is
the
just
chain.
one long kind of on a spool.
Right, the
And he
chain
just cuts it.
The chain is, he cuts it
And
to
takes it.
whatever length, and a lot of people have, if you have arthritis or whatever, a hard time attaching the hooks on most necklaces. But this is very
I
easy.
love
It
that.
just slides through, and the other type of hook is a circle and a straight wire, as I mentioned before, that just slips through. So
the
much
hook-
easier than a little tiny clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all that is just bendable. You just make that, and it doesn't have to heat it up.
And when he first started making the necklaces, here's an example. He was using wire that did tarnish. It was, you know, not wire, but silver chain that did tarnish. So it has to be polished once in a while. But then he changed to this argentium wire that will not tarnish. Yeah.
Great. So there's some examples, and there's a whole bunch of glass that's in a bottle.
Oh, yes. So we filled many interesting bottles. You know, there's so many pretty bottles, it seems a shame to throw them out. So we would fill them with little pieces. Some pieces are so tiny that we could not make jewelry from it. Or Ron made some lamps too. I think we had pictures of that. He would electrify an interesting bottle and fill it with glass, and it became a lamp.
So beautiful.
So there's some interesting things you can do. We also have a little window display in one of our rooms that it's a miniature window where you can slide glass into it, and it becomes almost like a mosaic of colored glass.
Well, it's good timing with holidays coming up for any sea glassers. Also, I saw that we have an educator here. She was encouraging her students to weigh in, and I was wondering if we can just hear where you're from. Was it Susan? Was that your name? Like what school you're from, and what you teach, and then what kind of inspired you to have your class? Yeah, Susan. We might even be able to, Emma, do you want to give Susan the mic and the camera if she's comfortable, or just the mic if you want to take yourself off of mute, or you can just let us know through chat, whatever you're comfortable with.
Susan, I have attempted to promote you to panelist.
And
So you might be able to.
there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I was just curious to hear about the class that you teach and what inspired you to encourage them to join us. And then also if your class or if you have any additional questions.
Yeah, well, hi kids, we're
Oh.
famous. I'm Susan Fields, and I teach a variety of science classes in the Rock Hill, South Carolina school district. We have a virtual school K through 12 now for those students who have whatever reason to not attend in person. I myself had to leave my previous high school in our district after 12 years because I have lupus, and so with COVID, I could not be around others. So I've been teaching from home since then. And so we are here today with my environmental science class. And we have been talking about, we do a lot of different things with pollution, of course. And I also try to include as many career connections as I can. And so I was kind of hoping that at least one of my kids would look at this and go, I go to Myrtle Beach all the time. I could start collecting some of this sea glass and see where it goes.
Yeah.
So I do have a question though. For people who have allergies, like usually I have to wear all gold jewelry. Is this this not the silver, but the other material that's used for the jewelry? Is that wearable for people who have allergies?
So the jewelry is made of, like I said, this argentinium silver, but the only other type of metal is the chain, which is stainless steel. So as
Okay.
far as I know, there are no allergies connected with those types of
Yeah, we might need to-
wires.
maybe we'll look it up. It's ARGENTIUM.
Argent.
It
Oh.
sounds like it might be a type of sterling silver too. I typed it in the chat for anyone who wants to
Yes.
look it up
Okay.
separately.
Perfect.
It's sterling silver with no copper.
Yep. So I just love that you gave the history behind the glass, because I was thinking, you know, where does it come from? I myself attended something this morning with another class about microplastics. So it's interesting you're talking about this now. So my students, keep on asking questions, put them in the Q&A, say something in the chat.
Students,
Good.
I'm so glad you joined us. It's great. So Emma, let's move on to the next slide. Thank you, Susan. Thanks for joining us and for bringing your class too. We really appreciate it. We're here to answer any questions too.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. There are quite a few, considering we're talking about marine debris and sea glass, there's a lot of opportunities for like service projects too for any students who are on. I know that's where my brain automatically goes. So if you wanted to do the cleanups like was mentioned earlier, I think that is an excellent opportunity. And speaking of, Darlene.
So these are projects, just a handful of projects that you can do while walking the beach. And just as a reminder, SciStarter has thousands of projects for you to find. There's something for everyone, everywhere. So iSeeChange, this is a project that you can download a free app, or you can do it on your computer or your tablet. And what you're asked to do is just make observations around you. And as you start to document changes around you, you start to become more aware of sometimes not everything's bad. You might start seeing like, wow, you know, pollinators are back. My garden is doing great. Or you might be on the flip side of that and noticing I don't see as many butterflies as I used to see. Or as you're walking on the beach, maybe you're curious about what is happening here. Sometimes we see patterns like a lot, maybe 5 or 6 horseshoe crabs dead, wash up. That doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, but as you track that and document it and pay attention and share your observations over time, patterns start to emerge. That's one, iSeeChange.org. I think Roland's putting links here. Marine debris tracker. This is another great one. You're tracking the trash. I mentioned this one earlier. Scientists all over the world use your data. And again, that's what makes this citizen science. These aren't science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM or STEAM outreach projects. Citizen science is where you take those observations and you share them. If you don't share them, it's still good that you're doing it, but it's not considered citizen science. We have to have some usable data out of this to help people answer questions they can't answer alone. MyCoast, same thing, help document. This is a very important one, especially where we live, where the rising sea levels are a concern to all. I always joke around that we are not oceanfront, but we're going to be.
Yeah.
Too soon, probably, but MyCoast is another one to look at. And decision makers, planners, policymakers, they use that data that you're submitting to make better informed decisions. And iNaturalist, I bet a lot of you out there already use iNaturalist. Very fun and simple app where you're documenting all the biodiversity around you, and you can start to find other people who are interested in making and sharing their observations too. Thousands of scientists use the data that you're sharing through these projects. Don't worry if you don't know what you're posting about too. Many times we'll walk on the beach and I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I might upload that to iNaturalist and actually have a big community that will tell me what I was looking at. So you're contributing data and you're also learning in the process too. Next slide. I want to thank where Bonnie and Ron live, Four Seasons Community in Galloway, New Jersey, for promoting this event. They did such a wonderful job of sharing it with their community. I hope some of you out there are from Four Seasons, so huge shout out. I don't remember who made the flyer, but it was beautiful too.
Yes, Pat Allen she's the president of the education committee.
Oh, nice.
Also, I want to thank my friend Lucy Giroux, who years ago said to me, you should do a program on seaglass.
There you
And
go.
thanks
Thanks,
to
Lucy.
SciStarter, we made it happen.
Yeah, we made it happen. Teamwork. And the next, keep on adding your questions. And Roland and Emma, if you see some that we should address, let's do that before we run out of time.
I do want to address one that came into the chat. This, a couple of you have asked about what if the glass is not smooth enough to put back in the ocean. It is still debris and can hurt animals in the ocean. So if you do find one that's too sharp, even if it's too early to become sea glass, it is useful to remove it. There are ways to, I did a quick Google for y'all. If you did want to make your own sea glass, there are ways to take glass and turn it into sea glass later on. So if you wanted to investigate a way to still use it as sea glass, but maybe it's not quite ready, you can move it along a little bit. But it is better to remove it because it is still potentially harming a lot of or organisms that might think it's food or might go near it in order, I don't know, to make a home or something and couldn't get cut from it. Yeah.
You probably
and then
Yeah, so the tumblers are used to create sea glass too. It does what the ocean does, but artificially. And sometimes if you find a piece and just one little part is shiny, you know, you can tumble it and then it's all completely smoothed over. Yeah, so that is another way. In fact, there's the controversy between real sea glass and artificial sea glass, and that actually is the difference. What you pull out of the ocean is real. What you pull out of a tumbler is not so real.
Someday there's going to be a reality show about a sea glasser. They're going to cheat the tumblers. Next slide. Or more questions if there's any, but I'll keep moving.
I think we are okay. If there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. We'll still keep an eye. But for your future information for our next events, we do have next week on November 22nd, we have a special event for any of you who possibly speak Arabic. And I'll have Roland also on the line as our IT support. I'll have Roland explain that one in a little bit because we have another slide for it as well. On November 29th, so after Thanksgiving, we have the Essential 2023 Citizen Science Gift Guide. So for any of you looking forward to gift buying season for any holidays in December that you may celebrate, this is a perfect opportunity to wrap in some citizen science there. I know I'm going to be making my family do citizen science with me over the winter, so it'll be fun. And then in December 6th, we have the 2023 Christmas bird count starting up, I think on the 14th. So we're preparing for that event to get started, so you can get ready to participate. Awesome. And then if you're ever looking for
That's the
the
oldest
list of events,
science project, Emma.
sorry?
Christmas bird count is the oldest, longest running citizen science project too.
Yes, which is super fun because you get to participate in something so, I want to use the word notorious, but that's not the word I'm meaning. Just famous, I guess. There is a blog site as well if you want to keep track of all the events coming up, and Roland will drop that in the chat for you all to follow along, and we'll have the recordings for everything there as well. All right, and then Darlene, do you want to give a quick plug for Citizen Science Month?
April, if you're looking for a reason to get involved, Susan as a teacher, this is a great opportunity. CitizenScienceMonth.org has a ton of free resources. This is especially good if you're looking to plan events. You don't have to create projects. You can find a project. You can introduce communities to citizen science just by using some of those training materials that Emma showed earlier. They all have speaker notes, they have slides, they have lots of facilitation materials there. Or just get some friends and family together to do some citizen science. A lot of libraries host programs that you can get involved in too. So keep an eye on that. Never too early to start planning for that. If you do have an event idea, add it to SciStarter. Maybe Roland could put that link in there, SciStarter.org/add. That way we can keep an eye on what's happening and then promote it or help you in other ways. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. And then lastly, we always have this slide at the end just to give you a good snapshot of all the resources we have available to you. As you may know from doing citizen science projects, if you've been involved on SciStarter.org, we have the ability to ask community members who have also done the project questions about a project. You can also contact project leaders to ask questions about individual projects. And you always have us to reach out to if you ever want to email info@SciStarter.org. We will do our best to help you out. We also have, as I mentioned at the very start, we have training. So if you want to learn a little bit more about citizen science and get some confidence in your ability to participate more in these projects, there are trainings for you. We have a podcast, which this most recent one that's coming out will be about our most recent live event last week. Actually, we talked to a mycologist, which is about mushrooms, for anyone who is interested in that. And then we also have the SciStarter.org/finder, which is where you can go to find your next project. So any keyword that you wanted to write in, that's where you would do it to find your next project. Awesome. All right. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a moment to see, Roland, would you like to give a quick promo for your event next week?
Yes, thank you. So next week, we're gonna introduce citizen science to Arab-speaking audiences. I'll repeat that in Arabic now. So 3 الجاي رح نكون عم نحكي عن citizen science للعرب مبدئيا، والساعة 9 بتوقيت لبنان رح يكون معنا الضيف سامي كايد من الجامعة الأمريكية ببيروت. Thank you.
And Roland is such a fabulous team member for SciStarter who lives in Lebanon. So we cover pretty much every time zone in SciStarter, and we're very lucky to have Roland and Emma join our team. I'm looking forward to that one, Roland. Thank you.
Sorry, my computer doesn't want to unmute. And then lastly, thank you all for joining us. It really helps us to know how we're doing. So if you have about 2 minutes of your time to fill out our post-event survey that will be dropped into the chat, it is incredibly helpful to us to know how we're doing, or if you have any improvements that you would like to see or any thoughts about this. It does help us, and we do look through it to help improve this event. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. And I promise it does only take 2 minutes. It's very quick. Awesome. We did have one last Q&A chat. India, just very briefly, I was typing it, but my computer doesn't want to agree with me here. But yes, as a reminder for anyone who does do any seaglass searching or any debris tracking in general, leaving these things in the ocean is ill-advised because there can be danger to the ecosystems. They can see it as food or maybe cut themselves on the glass if it's not sea glass yet, where it's a lot smoother. So if you do see glass and it's near the ocean or anywhere, if it's littered, essentially, picking it up is a good thing. So yes, absolutely, it can be definitely negative. So thanks for asking that question. Alrighty, okay, I think that was all of our things. Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Thanks for joining us too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron, too, for all your work. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks,
Thank
Roland.
you.